Welcome back to Proud Masculine. I'm Joe, and doing another video from the road. Today's topic I'm going to go over something I think is not talked about enough, not made understood enough to people who find this space. And I know I haven't, and I've glazed over it with certain characteristics displayed at the beginning of the breakup that exhibit this behavior and that shame, this toxic shame that comes out and that we feel and deal with immediately after the breakup and for a period after. And it's shame for, and this usually comes about as being the dumpy, comes about when we have the propensity to want to absorb and take all the blame. And that we'll begin to self-shame that we ruined it, or we messed up the relationship, taking all of the responsibility for everything that ever gone wrong, that we'd ruined the relationship. The shame of how we behaved immediately following the breakup, the begging, the pleading, the stalking, the negotiating, trying to negotiate the reunion, and just some of the behavior we displayed, feeling worthless and unlovable. If you're from a messed up background, if you come from a household where there was a lot of toxicity or dysfunction growing up, you'll have the tendency to be that much harder on yourself. Then, if you have toxic people in your life, there's a good chance that you're going to get shamed from them. I can remember one particular instance, this is years ago, but this is something that affected me for many years until I confronted it, and I'd repressed it, and I really didn't even realize how much damage it did to my self-image and my self-worth until way later in life, and that I was able to resurface this experience and the effect it had, and then confront it, heal it, and get past it to where I know this is not me as a person. And just to let you know in the middle of this that this experience, the mistakes you've made, this doesn't define you as a person and your potential and what you can do moving forward. And again, I know it goes back to no contact. This is why it's so important that you have this period, this time apart, this time where, and I know I've said this, that you go inward, you go in and do this inner work, because you better believe that other person has made just as many mistakes in this relationship. And that's another thing, besides your internal shame, the shame coming from your peers or family, if they're fucked up and toxic, agreeing with the breakup for shitty reasons, and then the other person, if you're dealing with somebody with issues or just fucked up or has some narcissistic traits or some kind of mental illness that's affected by some sort of mental illness, they're going to project that shit onto you and give you the blame. And it's not all yours to take. Matter of fact, here's the reality of it. The breakup occurred because of an accumulation of negative experiences. You could have experienced a job loss and fell on hard times. You can have some unresolved shit that you carried into the relationship, and something triggered resurfaced it and happened to linger longer than it should have in a healthy relationship to where it affected the connection overall between you two. It could have been something they were dealing with, you didn't know how to respond. It could have been bad communication. It could have been some unfavorable characteristics on your part that caused it. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a mistake. Shame and guilt. They go hand in hand, and they are the two most useless emotions that are available to be felt by a human being. They serve no purpose other than to destroy you and keep you down. Now look, if you're a dirtbag and a piece of shit and you don't feel guilty about something, that's a problem. That means you're a psychopath or a sociopath or a narcissist. But there's a healthy amount of guilt. If you do something wrong and you feel remorse, that's one thing. But the toxic shame that comes along with the anguish and despair of a breakup that just only fuels that anguish and despair is not healthy. It's not normal. Somewhere in there, in this time period, you need to be able to confront what brings the shame about, where this stems from, and heal that. It'll only resurface and rear its ugly head back again and again in every relationship you happen to come across or be in the future. At some point or another, that shame will resurface, or whatever those triggers are, that trauma that's unresolved, whatever triggers it, you can guarantee that there's going to be some point in a relationship in your life where you're going to have to deal with that again. And if it's unresolved and not worked on, you're going to get the same exact result. Sure, you're going to learn a little bit through the experience of the breakup, and eventually you'll feel better. But there's still going to be the underlying, and you're going to learn something. You're going to be a little better prepared for the next time you're going to be in a relationship. But leaving that stuff totally unresolved, it's only going to resurface at some point when another real connection comes, and you have to be vulnerable and giving of yourself and vulnerable enough to receive and the accepting of that other person and things that come up. Stuff will resurface and it will affect the relationship in a negative way. So yeah, it's something I wanted to bring to the forefront. I don't think it's talked about enough. You have, in the beginnings of this breakup, it's pure anguish. You're dealing with shame, guilt, separation anxiety. Self-esteem is in the shitter. You feel unlovable. You can't believe all the mistakes you've made. You're doing things, and this anguish manifests itself in so many different ways. Mentally, emotionally, physically, you feel you go from having zero appetite to binge eating. You can't sleep, to the extreme opposite of that is not wanting to get out of the bed, suffering from, these depressions. So you have all these manifestations of this anguish that come in the very beginnings of the breakup. Physically feeling ill, diarrhea, the severe separation anxiety, the constant anxiety pushing you to reach out to this person, pushing you and telling you and helping you rationalize why it's a good idea to explain to them why y'all should be back together, and keep trying to see what they doing, what are they up to, and stalking social media, doing the drive-bys. If you're doing that, get off of social media, stop stalking. do not go to the house. Do not pass the house. Don't do that. A, it's illegal. B, it's creepy and unhealthy. You can get in trouble for it. And if there's any chance of you getting this person back, you will completely extinguish that. That is an absolute must, that you do not do that. Look, this is a difficult process. The recovery process can be extremely difficult. Having to navigate this. If you need my help, go to my website. You know how to reach me. Go to my website, Pricing and Plans. Book me. I will solve this problem for you. I will put you on a course of recovery. I can walk you through this. ProudMasculine.com, Pricing and Plans. Select the 1 hour coaching, and we go from there. And we can begin work immediately. But not only through the, these physical manifestations, this emotional turmoil you go through, this roller coaster. It's brutal. And it all stems from, you're dealing with the shame. What you could have done differently, what you should have done differently. The mistakes you made constantly resurfacing and replaying in your mind. Every instant you could go back and redo. Therein comes a time for, and look, and then you're ashamed of this. You're ashamed of these behaviors. Look, don't be. I don't know, I can sit here behind this camera and say, don't be. I went through it. I've done all that shit. I did the begging, the pleading. Really didn't do the stalking. That's dangerous. That could potentially lead to something very dangerous. I can't emphasize that enough. Social media stalking, did it. But let me tell you something. It's instinctual. It's biological. It's nothing to be ashamed of. That's you trying to reconnect and reunite yourself with its survival. And people call it obsession and desperation, and yeah, it is obsessive behavior, and it does come across as desperate. But you've just been detached from a bond and connection that was life to you. And you are being driven by 100 forms of fear and anxiety to reestablish this connection for your survival. This is how your primal brain is reading this. On the surface, from the outside looking in, from the naked eye, from the untrained eye, it's going to be somebody's opinion. You hear shit like how to get over one, get on top of another, or it's just silly guidance and advice. And it doesn't come from a bad place. You just don't know any better. But it's instinctual. You're trying. There's very few pains in life that measure on the scale as high as having your heart broken and being discarded by somebody that you love dearly. There's very, very few instances in life where you can experience that kind of hurt and pain. So be patient with yourself. Look, while I'm on it, like, share, comment, subscribe for future videos. Hit that like button, please. And also, I'll put a link to donate. If you find what I'm saying helpful, please donate. It only helps the channel and allows me more time to put out more videos and upgrade and do things where I can put this content out there for people who need it, because there are people who need it. And for that, share as well. So there's going to be a period of time where, and this is, again, circling back to no contact, there's going to be time required where you need to heal. And in order for you to heal from this experience with this person, you can't be exposed to this person. Another huge benefit of no contact. They have their time to go through the stages of the dumper, which is necessary for them. We'll get into that in another video. Most importantly, you get the time to heal and rebuild. There's got to be a time period where you feel this. You have to go through these feelings, this emotional roller coaster. And you know the old cliche, feel it to heal it. Cliches are cliches for a reason, because it's true. And these things that surface give you an opportunity to heal from them. As they come to surface, you confront them, you work on them. And that's it. And I just wanted to bring that to light. That there is an element of shame. And it's okay, there's nothing to be ashamed of. You made mistakes. And through this process is a time when you really need to be cognizant of how you're treating yourself, how you're talking to yourself. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some love, self-love. I'm not saying don't confront and work on things, but I'm saying you need to be easy on yourself. You don't have to have that drill sergeant voice, you know, get over it, quit being a bitch, and they're not worth it, you know, all that. It serves no purpose other than to delay the healing. You know, if you're talking to yourself like that, you're not going to be open and loving with yourself to say, hey, look, you made a mistake. You're still valuable. You still have worth. You are still lovable. There's some things we need to work on. Let's work on that. Let's make that our focus. And then you're in a solution-oriented mindset. You're not taking an aggressive posture with yourself, only to reinforce that. And lying to yourself isn't going to help, because you weren't perfect. There were things that you've made mistakes and work that need to be done. But you don't have to be a dick about it to yourself. There's plenty of dicks out there in the world, and people that'll try to bring you down and beat you down. You don't have to be that person yourself. Treat yourself as if you were somebody that you had to take care of to sustain life for them. Somebody you had to handle who was sick. Think about how you would deal with that person and how you would treat them and help them, and apply that to yourself. That's healthy. That is an environment for growth and a nurturing environment. Create that for yourself. Validate yourself. And that'll come in time. I promise you. But anyway, that's it. See you on the next.